Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is certainly a different time that I am recording in and entering. I know that I've been taking a bit of a break on the podcast recording. I do want to apologize for that. I just had a lot of difficulties with life and such, so I think you'll be able to forgive me because I've been pretty frank about my current situation. If you've been following me online on Twitter, I have my Twitter. I've been pretty active on there. So, and during that interim period, I have made pretty good gains in terms, I guess, of follower count. But honestly, like, I'm not too super active on there. I'm just mainly shit posting. I'm not really adding too much to the conversation. But and in a lot of ways, I do prefer being obscure. But yeah, I'm just I believe now I'm in a good position to restart with the podcast. I mean, the collapse isn't going anywhere, and certainly now with our current global situation, I feel like it's a good point to jump back in. And it's funny though, not this situation isn't funny at all, but it's just like in terms of the podcast. The last episode I recorded was about the little war between the Gaza Strip and Israel, and that was a pretty good podcast in terms of performance, or I guess ratings and views. So I guess if I was going to take a break, I should have ended on a high note. So that at least is good for my program. But now I just want to get back in, and I don't want to get too into my personal life and daily situation. If you had been following me on my Twitter, you would have seen just like little snippets of just like my daily activities and just circumstances. Just real synopsis. Really, like there was a point where I was just set on just leaving everything behind, and I really set my mind on leaving for Colorado, and I did. I made it all the way to Durango. Yeah, that was a bit of an odyssey, and now of course right now currently where I'm recording, I'm back in Huntsville and recording or trying my best to stay in college and do what I can, although I've been missing a lot of classes, and today I'm still missing classes because this is just how can you go to class? This is, especially with this, because I kind of semi-professional podcaster. So yeah, I'm just following this in real time. I'm currently watching YouTube live streams of different locations in Kiev because the Russian blitz is set to start. In fact, they've been making pretty significant headway in just Ukraine. It's just making moves and such, so they're really trampling through. I've tried to get on the live interactive map for Ukraine, but it just seems to be down, so who knows what that's about. But yeah, I'm just trying my best to stay focused on this in real time. It's currently in Ukraine time. In my current time, it's 10:23. Ukraine time is 6:23 or so, right? Yeah. So yeah, PM. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just I'm getting a bit scatterbrained because I'm trying to talk about what I've been up to and what my life has been so far, and what this current Kiev situation or Ukraine situation is. This is just too much. I've been pretty calm about this, and I'm firmly in Ukraine's camp. But I'm under no illusion. Oh, I hear some sirens. Okay, those are just ambulance. Okay, I'm under no illusion that the West and NATO aren't partly responsible for this conflict. That case is very true. I just want to say at least, it's very obvious who the aggressor here is. You can make a case about the separatists and Donbass and Luhansk, and okay, for sure. But in terms of the greater Ukraine state, it's very obvious who the aggressor here is, and Putin, in no uncertain terms, is justifiable or righteous in any way. He's of course he's trying to wrap himself around I'm doing this for Russia's best interest, but this is really for his interests. So this is all, this is a lot. But again, I want to get back to at least talking about my life, my situation, just to wrap up, because I was on the road for a while and just living day to day out of my car basically. and I was doing pretty okay. So, and I was like really about to start like working. Like that's like a real situation where my mind was set on like, okay, I have to work. Like I like, because I like working, so my mind was just like, I gotta find a job. So I made it to Durango. I immediately went to finding some work and sleeping out of parking lots and renting a motel for a couple of nights or two. Luckily, I was there in like September, but the nights were getting cold, like even in September. And yeah, Durango is just a nice spot. Like it was really just a moment of clarity. I can't really put into words. Of course, I'm still a bit scatterbrained about this whole Kiev situation, but yeah, I just needed a vacation. So that's really what it was. I just needed to get away. Like I literally blocked my whole family. Well, not my whole family, because I was still talking to my aunts and uncles in New York. So it wasn't like I was like completely off the face of the earth. It was more just like the people in my immediate life who truly have been a pain in my ass. I mean, not that I don't love them, but like they really are a bit of a pain in the ass. I need to like get away from them, or like I don't know how to describe it. I had more peace living out of my car and living like in day-to-day life and really like really tight situations. There was a couple moments where I'm like, oh shit, if I make the wrong move, I am dead. Not like physically like I'm gonna die, but just like I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that's what would have happened. Like it would have been more of a slow death, not like, oh, I'm about to get shot. That never happened. Although there was like a stalker situation. I mean, I have so many stories. Oh my god, it's just like I'm probably gonna. I don't know how to even like frame it. It's just like there were so many instances where like, if I make the wrong move, or if I look somebody the wrong way, I don't know what's gonna happen. So that's really all I can say there. Luckily, I was armed for most of it, and I did have my license to carry for Texas. Even though I'm saying this right now, I might incriminate myself, but it's more just like at least I had some stuff on me and some documents and training and licenses to at least have my back. But yeah, luckily nothing ever happened, so whatever. Uh, yeah, man, the things that I'm saying online right now, like there's probably just like a agent just like, go on, please, just typing everything down. So yeah, so that's really all I'm willing to talk about for now, and probably as I record later on and uh, focus on more domestic circumstances, because it was a really an eye-opening situation about the current daily lives of people, especially when I was in Albuquerque. Yeah, that was an eye-opening experience. I've been to parts of the world. I've been to the Dominican Republic. My family's from there, so I travel there a lot. And when I'm there, I'm like living in some rugged situations. But when you see like poverty in other parts of the world, it's more natural, and it's more just like people. There is people like they built it from the earth, so like they're more in tune with the area. It's a lot more natural and more communal, and people are just like, it's not like they're starving or drug addicted, or although there are some substance issues in Dominican Republic, I'm not downing that. It's just like when I've been in rugged, rural, impoverished situations in Dominican Republic, I've of course felt more secure. Of course, I'm Dominican myself, but it's very obvious that I'm an American tourist, so it's just like I get some pass, but yeah, I don't know where I'm trying to get at. But what I'm talking about is really about U.S. poverty in those situations, especially in Albuquerque where I was at. There was a point in time where like my car was overheating, so I had to get it fixed, and it was about taking almost a week because I had to get some funds together. Dude, I was just like living out of this motel. I'm just like, fuck, oh shit. Like it was that area where shit, I'm like, it's more on the south side. Like there's a freeway. It's one of those spots where like there's a freeway, and the south side is just like a completely different environment than the north side. And it was one of those spots where I just had to do everything that I needed to do during the daytime, because at night I had to stay inside. Not that anything weird was happening, but there was like a couple of like spots where like I saw like some like red tape that red tape that cops use. I'm just like, oh, okay. So yeah, man, I'm just trying to say so much at once. I know I'm kind of like getting a bit scatterbrained, but yeah, that's just like basically what my life has been about. And of course, if you've been watching my Twitter during that time, I was making some comments about just what's happening out here, and I understand that it is irresponsible and foolish to just run off like that and yeah, basically just leave everything behind, because that's where my mind was. I'm just like, there's nothing here for me, and I still feel that way. I still feel like there's really nothing for me here, and I don't want to live here. I don't want to live in Texas, Houston. I didn't choose to come here, so I don't believe I should. I don't believe I'm obligated to stay. As much as my family would like to guilt trip me and such, I just don't. I don't feel like I have any obligation here, especially after this holiday season. When I returned, it just confirmed everything that I've been feeling. Yeah. And thankfully now I'm living in my own space for now until July. Although, I have to get my funds together because I'm waiting on this tax return. I'm just like, please, or tax refund. I'm just like, please, any moment now. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, interesting. When I live on my own, there's peace and quiet. I actually have healthy eating habits because I'm actually focused on sustenance and not my emotional needs, trying to feel good, comfort eat. It's just, yeah, interesting. I need a pet. I don't plan on, especially now with this global situation, because we might be ending up in a world war. Probably not going to be dating, so I need at least a pet or something. Okay, so now there's sirens in Kiev, so something's about to happen. But yeah, so just currently what's happening, at least in Kiev, is there are forces in suburbs around the area, especially in the northwest. They're trying to pincer it because the river, the city is I guess divided by the Dnieper River. I shouldn't say I guess. It is divided by the Dnieper River. So they're trying to pincer it. I believe in the northeast there's been a column that's been halted, although they're making flanking movements. In the northwest, they demolished the bridge. So they've halted a column, but yeah, they're still making moves. And right now, as you've been hearing, there are sirens. This is 6:33 Kiev time. So who knows what's going to happen? Probably some air assault, cruise missiles. I mean, they say tonight's going to be the night. So who knows? They've been making defenses or arming civilians and militias. I mean, there's general mobilization. I mean, this is really I can't even imagine what they're going through right now. The people of this area, because this is what they've been talking about. This is what they've been this is what they've been preparing for. This is what life has been about for them. This is crazy too. I also have a live feed of St. Michael's Golden Dome Cathedral in Kiev. So who knows what's about to happen and what's about to unfold. So to give you a bit of a rundown of the current global situation, the current Ukrainian invasion by Russia is that for the first phase, initially, and of course, this is my Hearts of Iron 4 brain speaking now, this armchair general, but this is, we're really getting a look into what this modern new age of modern warfare is going to look like. So they've been doing initially surgical strikes and being a little more precise. So of course, though, Russia doesn't have the same level of sophisticated fire support that the United States does, but still it's far more superior than what Ukraine has. So yeah, they've been making strikes, and of course Ukrainian air defenses have been at work, and they've been making good work at least. But last night there was supposedly a Ukrainian jet that was shot down by Russian air defense systems. So currently, like I'm hearing different reports saying that Russia has air superiority, and no, it's still hotly contested. And then there was a story about the ghost of Kiev, and all these different stories are coming out. There's a lot of misinformation, of course. So, of course, I might share something online, thinking and being hopeful, because I want Ukraine to win. I want them to, punch Russia in the nose, at least, going down, fighting, because like I don't like bullies, and this is what it is. You can say what you want. I'm not denying that there aren't far right ultranationalist elements with Ukraine, with the government, especially with the paramilitary forces. Not denying that at all. Not denying that at all. But 44 million Ukrainians aren't all Nazis, and Putin doesn't really care about denazifying Ukraine. He doesn't care about that. This is about his control of the region. He's barely even interested about the interests of Russia. So I hope you don't hear my fridge too much. I'm recording in like my living room, but I'm just gonna keep talking. Yeah, this is just this is an imperialist conflict by Russia, and I want to say another thing about Russia. Well, I'll go on a tangent about that, but like I just want to say, like, this is of course very divisive. This is a very divisive topic and issue, for the left apparently, and for all good reasons. I mean, because people are they're making very valid points about conflict, about the West and NATO and its role in this entire world war that we're in. And well, it's not yet a world war, but it is. This is how it starts. Yeah, man, this is crazy. And I thought Putin was smarter than this. I really did. I thought he was I thought he was bluffing. I didn't think he was actually going to do this. Not that I'm some like military expert genius. I haven't really been making like super hardcore like claims as some other people online have. But yeah, man, like I didn't think Putin would actually do this, because the consequences from the West would have been so severe. But I think he's at a point where he doesn't care anymore. Here's the thing, because Putin has to be strong against the West, and he also has to be strong against his own oligarchs, his colleagues and mafia allies, because Russia it's like a feudal empire, basically. It's just like a different form of it. I mean, the guy literally has press conferences from the Winter Palace. So, and he's directly making claims from the Russian Empire. So, like, what other signals do you need about his intentions? It's just like, yeah, man. I don't know, because I don't want to go on a tangent about Russia and make it seem like I'm being Russophobic. That's a new term now. It's being used. I'm just I'm trying to be consistent here in terms of my ideology when it comes to imperialist conflicts, and I don't support any imperialist conflicts, right? So I've never supported the U.S.'s conflicts. Well, I mean, I was too young at the time, but it's still like in hindsight, like of course I don't support this. I never supported the Iraq War, nor the Afghanistan invasion, even with this veneer of justification with 9/11. Like it's still like the way it was carried out was wrong, and of course we've seen it now. Of course, and then of course the actions in Libya and Syria, our support of the wars in Yemen and Somalia and other parts of Africa, and just like the U.S. is in a very different position than it was in the past world wars, in that we are the world superpower. So this world war, is not about the U.S. entering the world stage. It's more about maintaining our place and maintaining the hegemony. Excuse me. And who knows? This might drive China further away from us as trade partners, and they might lock arms with Russia, just out of necessity. And who knows what else? They might also partner up with Pakistan and North Korea, Iran, and other Central Asian countries. I mean, yeah, we just had like a revolution in Kazakhstan. That just completely went over people's heads. That was crazy. That just it's just everything's unfolding so quickly. But yeah, man. So, oh man, this is just crazy. It's currently still quiet in Kiev. There's some sirens. I haven't seen anything else. There's like multiple different camera points in Kiev I'm looking at. So there's been no strikes or anything, no explosions or yeah. But the assault is expected to start either today or tonight, or they're just planning to do it in a certain encirclement. But either way, they're going to have to bombard the area and shell the area. So like, it's going to be devastating. Already, some of the footage that's been coming out has been pretty bad, and I think the Russian military wasn't expecting the Ukrainians to put up this much of a fight. You know, the Ukrainian forces have certainly gained an advantage through our supplying, our support and supplying of different weapons, especially javelin missiles and such. So, yeah. So let's see what just happens. You know, we're just gonna watch, but I'm gonna keep talking. Just just so you can hear my 2 cents, because yeah, there's just a lot to be said, and I just want to at least elaborate on my thoughts, because that's really what this show is about. It's just my thoughts. I'm not really an expert on anything. I have been following this Ukrainian crisis since its inception, really. Anyway, it's just like a lot. Yeah, man. But I also want to make another point about other Eastern European countries. There's been talks floating now of Sweden and Finland making moves to join NATO, and that could be a serious escalation because Russia doesn't want NATO to expand, but of course Russia's actions now are scaring the other neighboring countries, European countries that have historically been under the boot of Russian imperialism. So yeah, they want to. Well, in Sweden's case, Sweden has been imperialist towards Russia, but in Finland, yeah, like they have real good reasons to not be trustworthy of Putin's word. And then, of course, the Baltic states, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and Poland, and I'm guessing the Balkans are going to be a bit of a toss-up, as usual. But yeah, I mean, Eastern Europe, the former Soviet republics, as they're called, yeah, they're very. They don't want to go back. Those memories are still very fresh. In fact, I have some like, they're like family, but they're really just friends. The father is his father is a former Hungarian resistance fighter, and he fled, of course, the Soviet invasion, and then they went to Colombia, and that's how he came into our lives, because his wife is Dominican, so of course naturally our mothers got along, or my mom and his wife got along. But yeah, it's just seeing how close it is. So of course this issue, of course, is very touchy for him, because he is a survivor, or his father was a survivor of Russian aggression, or I guess Soviet aggression, but it's really kind of interchangeable. Some people still think that this is like Soviet communist actions and aggression, when like this is not even remotely communist. Yeah, but what I mean about Finland and Sweden joining NATO, and possible actions by Russia, is that that's just serious escalation. These are so-called neutral countries, but if they join NATO, they're no longer neutral. But if Russia acts aggressively against Finland, then what do we do? I think we have to defend them, because this is like, at what point do we stop? Like, he just attacked Finland because Finland now wants to join NATO, and it's like, you're gonna attack every country that's gonna want to join NATO, then just attack NATO. Like, what the hell? Like, so this is the possibility of nuclear war. If shit, because legally nuclear weapons cannot be used internationally. So domestically, it's only, acceptable. I don't know if Putin is that crazy enough to just go all out and glass the planet. I don't think he's that deranged, but who knows at this point. I just, currently as I'm thinking and sitting here now, like I'm just having to accept the reality that I am now in the gears of history. I'm thinking of a quote from Gandalf, Frodo and Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, and I definitely need to watch this movie to feel some inspiration. But Frodo was just saying, I wish I'd never lived in these times, and Gandalf is saying everybody wishes they were never born in these times, but it's not up to us, what times that we live in. What's up to us is what we do in that time. Or, I'm not really. Ian McKellen, of course, like, it just does it gracefully, more gracefully than I can. But yeah, that's all I can feel right now, because I have to accept the fact that the world is at war, or it's about to be at war. There's been no declaration as of this recording. Who knows how long this will continue, but yeah, I seriously have to consider getting in shape, working and exercising. I still need to get my degree. I haven't gotten my degree yet, but who knows? Who knows at this point, because my GPA is fucked and I already missed so many classes. I'm participating and I've been doing good on tests and so I've been doing what I can. I'm not completely ignoring my responsibilities, but yeah, this is a very difficult situation for everybody. But yeah, this is how do I even begin? It's just, for me, just something to ponder, because if there's a war, not that I would ever, because I say I'm floating the idea, I gotta get in shape, but I'm not in any way physically capable at the moment. If I do the training right and exercise, I can certainly get there. Who knows, maybe after some medical examinations they'll find something. Certainly with my feet, I'm not flat-footed, but yeah, there have been some x-rays done on my feet where I'm just holy shit, that's not good. Yeah. But yeah, it's still surreal to believe that this is happening, because last night I was up pretty late just watching everything unfold, and I had been watching the Agenda Free TV YouTube channel of Stephen Lookner. He's been doing very good in-depth stuff. I haven't really been watching any mainstream media sources, because they just do terrible analysis, and of course they're all trying to manufacture consent, and still people I really hate how the press is talking, especially in these press briefings, because they're just openly talking about what's the U.S. going to do? Are we going into Ukraine? Do you, why are you asking that question? And they just said that they weren't going to let. Oh my God, I'm sorry. It's just the media, and I have to applaud Zelensky, the president, because before this invasion, he had been criticizing the media and saying this is not helping. The way you guys are talking, this is not helping at all. And yeah, they're not helping at all. They love this. The media loves this. This is entertainment for them. They're getting views and ratings, and they can do live coverage. This is the Super Bowl for them. They're it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy. How much you want to bet eventually they're going to create some infographic and you're going to see Wolf Blitzer just doing 3D zoom in Tony Stark, zoom in on the front lines, and just this is a bit of a callback. Tom Clancy and War. I love that game. But that's basically what he's going to be doing. Is tonight, the assault on Kiev. And he just zooms in and wow, man. This is all crazy to me. And I'm kind of half inspired to just turn on Arma 3 and just like go in Zeus mode and create like a battle between Ukrainian forces and Russian forces, and just like recreate the circumstances that these soldiers are going through, because there's been heavy fighting in some of these cities. There's currently, as you know, as I'm speaking right now, there's currently a battle ongoing in Kherson, or at least the Russians were fighting pretty heavily there. There's also been some heavy shelling in other areas, Kharkiv. There's some fighting in the outskirts, and they're probably going to get overrun in the next like 24 hours or 48 hours. There's been some halting of these columns, and there's been some pretty serious footage of like destruction, because like these Russian forces that they've been sending in, they seem to be inexperienced or like unequipped, or I don't know what the exact plan is for Russia. Historically speaking, Russia's kind of slow on a lot of military offensives and operations, but now they're sending in the bad boys. They've been sending in the Chechens, or at least they're mobilizing the Chechens. So like they're going in. This is going to get bad. Yeah, it's currently quiet still. There was some sirens from Kiev. But yeah, we're just gonna have to pay close attention. So, as I was saying, right, because I'm talking, of course, a big game of like, whoa, I might have to join the army. Oh, it's more just how do I say this? Because of course, I sound like an idiot saying that. Like, what the fuck kind of army am I gonna fight? I don't know, because a lot of young men are gonna die. And I'm 25 years old. I don't have a girl. I don't really even know where my life is going. This at least is a bigger purpose than me, and at least this isn't like some conflict. I'm going into like Iraq fighting some insurgency, or like I'm actually like we're fighting like a worthy adversary. We're fighting a bully, Putin. And of course, I don't want this to be a fight against Russia, because I love Russia. Like Russian history, Russian culture, and music. I've been listening to a lot of Russian like waltzes lately. It's some good studying music. Yeah, man, it's really unfortunate that we're in these circumstances, and a lot of Russians don't want this war either. They don't want this. There's been a lot of protests, and those people are brave. This isn't like getting arrested at a BLM rally. And not that I can speak from experience. I've never been arrested. But, this is not what that is. This is, they've been saying so far, like, any criticism of the conflict is treason. Like, that's what it is. And there have been some civilians, like, on, like, NBC. They've been, like, doing interviews. And, like, they've been giving their names, and like it's just like, dude, like, hats off to you, for standing up, because they're gonna crack down on this. But yeah, this is all just very eye-opening, very sad. Of course, nothing has happened so far, but there's a lot that's been happening as I'm just recording right now and talking, and I don't want to like be too long-winded with this conversation analysis, and yeah, I just want to at least keep up and like see what happens as it unfolds, and offer what words that I can say. It's just interesting to me to see some takes and some people's responses to all this, and I mean, I don't want to like pretend like I've been like prim and proper, because I have been shitposting. It's a war, okay, and that's what I do. I shitpost about really like fucked up circumstances and situations. I'm not making any light, or I'm not trying to make fun of this suffering that's happening, because a lot of people are gonna die, and a lot of people have died. There's gonna be a lot of destruction, a lot of devastation, and misery, and just the refugee crisis already that's beginning is starting to unfold. And I've just read a report about like some African like students that were in Ukraine have been denied access in Poland. That's very unfortunate that that's happening. And like other reports of Ukrainian military officials, like they'll pull over a bus and then they'll find every able-bodied person. And of course, the mobilization I believe is 18 to 60, but I believe they'll start like dipping into like 16 and 14. Yeah, like they're gonna start getting whatever they can, because like this defense that they have to mount is kind of like I think of it as like an ant horde, or you know, like when you step on an ant hill, all these ants come rushing out. That's kind of what I imagine it to be. So of course you can like swat them away, but then they keep coming back. And then of course if they're like fire ants and they keep stinging you, eventually you're just like, oh shit, and you got to run away because it's just like you're overwhelmed. Like, yeah, I remember one point I was playing soccer with my dad, and I was like there was like these two trees, so we were making that kind of like a makeshift goal. And I was at the time I was doing like little league soccer, so we were practicing like goalie stuff because I couldn't run because I was too big, so I could play goalie and just like sit still, but I would have to jump and make sure I defend the goal. But at a certain point, like I'm just standing in this one point and I have no clue that I'm standing on top of a fire ant's nest. So at a certain point, like I don't know how I was able to ignore this, but like at a certain point I just looked down because I feel like it's burning all over my legs. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I look down and there's ants everywhere all over my legs, and I'm like freaking out, and like and a couple of them got into my pants too. It's fucking crazy that this happened to me. I wasn't even like 10 years old. This is crazy. But yeah, I of course understandably I was freaking out and crying, and like yeah, that was just crazy experience. But that's just what I'm imagining right now as Russia gets further and further into this mess, because there are absolutely like commanders in this military, Russia's military, who are on the ground in Afghanistan. So I don't know how this is like lost on them. Like how this is like, how do you expect this to turn? Because like the Ukrainians are like they've historically always resisted Russian, Russian aggression. They always do. So like, what's gonna make this any different? Of course, I'm speaking history and such. It's just like this is all like a lot. Of course, I'm an American, filthy American, doesn't know anything and should stay out of world affairs. Yeah, I just just sitting on the sidelines and watching what's happening right now. It's really quiet in Kiev still. There's been a couple of sirens. I think ambulance or police sirens. No air raid sirens yet. But yeah, any moment now they're expecting an assault. So tonight is expected to be the blitz. So any second. But yeah, man. It's just crazy that we're in this mess. But it's just fascinating to me what Putin's intentions are and what his plan is. I think he's just in a corner, not only globally but domestically. He's just in a corner, and he's gonna go down, taking everybody with him. It seems that's what his intentions are. So somebody in the, I'm not one to float regime change ideas. I feel like Putin is going to put Russia into a position that is so horrific, or because Russia has been like able to enjoy some, like they had the collapse of the Soviet Union, so that of course was a bad experience, but they haven't really had a war of this magnitude since World War II, and everybody's pointing back to World War II. You can say, okay, yeah, the Chechen conflicts and other post-Soviet conflicts were certainly rough experiences, definitely. But this is truly a global crisis, and Russia is the bad guy, as much as as much as Putin would like to paint them as, we have a knife to our throat, we have no other options. No, you have no other options. Again, this is what rulers do. They wrap the interests of the nation, they wrap their interests with the nation's interests. And they say that we have to be strong and united, and we have to fight against the aggression of the corrupt West because they want to isolate us. They don't want us to be strong. We are Russia, and we are the motherland. Yeah, this is going to turn into some really weird nationalist rhetoric. I mean, already like Putin is already like saying an intervention will see a response of a magnitude that you have never seen. So it's like, what are you saying, dude? You're already saying you want to start using nukes. Like, fuck, dude. Yeah, man. I never, Putin seemed like more of a, intricate, delicate, like web weaver. But now the mask is off, it seems, and he's just gonna go full on, just, bull in a china shop. Just, oh my god, man, this is just gonna be something else. But again, this is the early phase, so they're of course they're still gonna be strategic and surgical with some strikes and such. But once those armored columns start moving into the cities, they're gonna have to start shelling hard. That's just the reality of the situation. The urban fighting is gonna be crazy. Yeah, as I said, they're arming civilians, so general mobilization, and they're starting to hand out Molotov cocktails and handing out instructions for Molotov cocktails and where to strike armored vehicles, because I guess there's like an intake for the crew inside. So if you strike there and start a flame in the intake, that's of course going to suffocate the crew inside. So yeah, it's just all, yeah, this is all crazy to see. They're gonna use whatever trick they can to resist the invaders. This is basically like where a Call of Duty Finest Hour is just like, just death to the invaders. We must fight for your mothers and your girls, and we must take the square in the yeah, they're gonna go into the Independence Square and there's gonna be some battle and some human wave charge or something. Oh my god, this is just all crazy. Wow, man. But yeah, Kiev is expected to fall. I don't know if the president has been evacuated or his family has been moved to an undisclosed location, and Zelensky is certainly a target. The goal is to decapitate the government. So who knows? What's going to happen with that? But yeah, they plan to fight in Kiev. They're not going to let it down. Kiev has huge significance for, like, I guess you could say, the Slavic civilization. It's kind of like the ancient capital, in the same way that, like, we have like cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, because during the Napoleonic era, like the capital was St. Petersburg, but Moscow was seen as like the ancient heart of Russia. So Kiev is kind of like the heart, I guess, of Russian Slavic culture and civilization. This is just a lot of history, and a lot of people are like, they're really, like, people are digging deep into history to give context to this current conflict, because these people are like, Ukrainians and Russians are, they're cousins, they're family, they're the same peoples, really. Like, a lot of people make the case that Ukrainian is basically just a dialect of Russian. Of course, I don't have the expertise about the linguistics of that area, but it's just, I see some people making some pretty ignorant comments about this. It's effectively kind of like saying, like, oh well, Dominicans and Mexicans are like the same. It's just like, what are you talking about? It's just like, and that's a poor example, but I'm just trying to give, like, an idea of, like, how some people are viewing this situation. And because, like, the people, they look alike and they sound alike, so what's the big deal? Why are they fighting? You guys are the same. And in a way, I guess, Putin sees it that way, because he's basically like he just like basically delegitimized the Ukrainian state, Ukrainian culture, and like national identity, ethnic identity. It's just like dude, like, so I'm on like it's gonna be no surprise to see once this occupation is carried out, that they're going to Russify this region. Now, what does that mean? Who knows? It's just, we don't know how far this will go. So, it's just, you have to see it. But yeah, I also wanted to make a point, at least, since we're talking about history. We're talking about imperialism, and people are thinking in the context of, people are getting confused when they're talking about imperialism, because some are saying in terms of global imperialism in the current globalist age. They're saying, oh, Russia has no intentions and they don't want to dominate the world, and I certainly do believe that's the case. I don't think Putin or his oligarchs in Russia and such, I don't think they have global aims in that sense. They have more regional aims or more internal aims in securing their borders, and they secure their borders by securing their satellite states and their proxy states. That's not just the current like Russian state and Russian system. Like, that's how Russia has always behaved. But there's also the case about imperialism, in terms of the current Ukrainian crisis in Eastern Europe. But also, you have to remember that there's a reason Russia is the largest landmass on the planet, the largest contiguous landmass on the planet. There's a reason for that, because like they went through Siberia and they went to Alaska. Like they colonized Alaska initially, although today Alaska doesn't have that same they haven't really retained that like ancestral Russian culture, although there's probably like really small pockets, not to the same degree of like Donbass or Luhansk. But yeah, I mean, they were imperialist. They colonized the indigenous peoples of Central Asia, of Siberia, of Alaska, the natives, the Inuits there. Like, that's imperialism. And these are, ethnic Slavic Russians. This is just manifest destiny. Like, that's what it was. Of course, I don't know, like, the full, like, because, like, when you look at history books and U.S. books, it's just, like, you see, like, on a map, like, here's what they took in this year, and then, like, here's expansions here, and expansions here. And, of course, it's not like with the United States, because with the United States, there's a whole, like, entrepreneurial spirit and, like, homesteading and such. So, in the U.S., our colonial expansion with Manifest Destiny was far more industrial than what Russia had, because Russia was still very much, up until the Bolsheviks, they were effectively a feudal state. So, yeah, so it's not to the same degree. So it's not like Manifest Destiny in terms of like just the industrialization, the mass industrialization, because like, of course, because the U.S. just steamrolled its way through the West, and with Russia it was more of a gradual process. At least that's what I'm trying to surmise, because I don't really know about the full like details of the Siberian colonization and conquest, but they did colonize Siberia. They did, and that's imperialism. Although, to my understanding, the people in those regions, they do see themselves as Russians, and they do generally have like autonomy over their lives, and yeah, they're still like pastoral nomads today, living in Russia, living in the taiga and on the steppe, and they're doing just fine. So it's just, that is something that I would like to examine more. In fact, because when I've been doing this podcast, I've been talking about my degree being about journalism, and I've actually switched my degree again. I did another switcheroony. I am studying history, the good old reliable history degree, with a minor in communications, mass communications. So my degree is still in line with this profession, since I want to continue with podcasting and other internet platform distribution, whatever you want to call it. So I'm still like in that field. I just want to be more specified because I do like history, and this is an area that I am highly specialized in, highly motivated and passionate about. That's the problem with college, because you go the mentality with college is you go in to get a degree that's gonna like maximize your profits, but because I'm choosing a field that's more academic and scholarly, there's less of a financial motivation. Not that I can't make good money doing academic work and such. It's more just we live in this capitalist, like utilitarian, materialist era. So anything that's abstract or intellectual is frowned upon, because I guess people's just they have no concept of the immaterial. They to them there's no use, there's no gain from it, because it's just like it's not tangible. I can't hold it. I can't fumble with it. There's no use to it. It doesn't offer any, like, in fact, like the more abstract and the more scholarly and academic you become, it's actually kind of like linked with like depression, because a lot of people, like, they kind of wake up to like, oh, there's a lot of suffering in this world, and like, so people don't like doing that. I do need to work on my attitudes, but I come across as being pessimistic because I'm not focused on just immediate, I need to feel good. That's not what my mind is at. My mind is more like, I need to understand what's happening in the world, and I can't trick myself into thinking that things are going to turn around and be okay when there's no evidence for that. Because as you can see right now, nothing is happening that's really good. I mean, like, I've been following this story in Ukraine, and, you know, I've been seeing some pretty, like, heroic actions from Ukrainian civilians, and some good, important updates about their actions and their defense of their homeland. So that is inspirational to see. And, like, I really want them to fight, not necessarily to the bitter end, because, like, at a certain point, like, you do need to give up. But at the very least, make it a fight. And I shouldn't say, like, the conventional forces, they do need to give up, but there's still going to be a insurgent resistance, and that's gonna be far different. You know, tanks and armored vehicles rolling across the plains of Ukraine. You know, the golden wheat plains of Ukraine, right? Yeah, man, it's just, all this is just crazy what's happening. But yeah, I'm just, you know, there's been a lot of people making takes about Russia and this conflict, and of course, I'm just like going on tangents, just talking about this. And again, there's just a lot of quiet in Kiev at the moment. So who knows? Nothing really serious has happened as of yet. So actually, I'm going to read a little comment from the Ministry of Defense. So this is a bit unverified, but still, there's just some different numbers have been popping up. So from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, they report that Russian losses are 80 tanks, 516 armored vehicles, 7 helicopters, and 2,800 personnel. Those are Russian losses. So I guess that includes like captured and killed enemies. And they've been killing a lot of people. Ukrainian losses I've read are somewhere in like I guess around like 500 or so. I'd certainly is far more inflated. I think those numbers are mainly personnel, military personnel. Civilian casualties are certainly going to rise. They're usually the hardest hit. Although there hasn't really, the major blitz hasn't started yet, is what I mean to say. So in certain isolated pockets, such as Mariupol. In fact, I just read a report that there's an amphibious assault that's occurring in Mariupol. So, yeah, like it's happening. All this is starting to unfold, and the Russians are making moves. I don't think, because on the one hand they need speed and they need to move and mobilize and crush the Ukrainian armed forces wherever they find it. But I still think they're trying to be careful and they don't want mass casualties. I think the Russian military does want to be careful. Like there was like one video I saw of Russian, I think they were airborne forces that were occupying a street corner. And then of course this elderly woman, she comes up to their face and she starts yelling at them, and the soldier is trying to de-escalate it and tell her to move on. And she's of course yelling, understandably upset. And you can see kind of like on the body language of these Russian soldiers, it's like they're alert, but you can tell that like there's this like air of like shame. Like you can kind of tell that they don't want to be there. And some captured like Russian troops have been stating that they were told that this is a training exercise, or Ukraine attacked, like they were fed false information about Ukrainian attack. So yeah, I mean, who knows, they could be lying. So there's a lot of stuff that could be that the Russian soldiers can say. But you see some of these images of the captured Russian soldiers, and like they are just regular guys in a shitty situation. I guess they were sent those initial like columns were purposefully sent to be ambushed and assaulted and to be destroyed, so that way they could make a claim like, oh, you see, they're capturing our forces, now we have to commit because you guys. It's just like, yeah, they're trying to, how do I say this, because I don't want it to seem as though I'm casting the Russian military command as the stereotypical bad guy. I am the bad guy. It's just like, I don't want to do that. I just, they are going to do certain things that are not conventional, that the West doesn't deem as conventional. There's been reports of like Russian personnel, military personnel, seizing Ukrainian vehicles and equipment and uniforms, and then just like leading entire columns. I believe that was intercepted. The column was intercepted, but still, like they're pulling tricks. Is basically what's happening. They're pulling tricks to gain an advantage. So yeah, they're just moving to encircle Kiev, and things are going to unfold. It's still up in the air what's about to happen, and I'm still watching these streams and making sure, if there's anything that's happening. I can't really hear anything. Let me put it to full volume. But if there's a serious explosion, we'll obviously hear it. So, yeah. So I know I've said a lot in this podcast, and this is a bit unorganized, because usually when I do my podcast, I have it like written out. I have it in different phases, right? Different sections, and I talk about different stories. And even then, I'm still a bit unorganized. Like, I've been like whenever I listen to my older episodes, I cringe a lot. But at the same time, I'm just figuring things out. So, yeah, I would rather be more critical of the work that I do than just be like, okay, this is perfect. There's no issues with this whatsoever, despite my lack of expertise. It's just something that I got to keep creating, keep working on, and keep building. But yeah, we're entering a new phase in the world stage. And as I stated, I don't know where things are going to go and where my path will lead. And I've already stated that if I can, if there is an official, if Biden comes out and he makes, this is just crazy to think about, because you know, he's old. He's like 79 years old. It's just like he's really old. Like I was listening to the his press briefing, and it was a bit deflated, hearing him talk, because I'm just like, okay, this is a war, and he's an older man. This is something that's going to require like effectively like 24 hours surveillance. Like I had to get some sleep last night, and like I probably got like maybe 5 hours in or something, because it's just like, okay, I might miss something. Like I seriously thought I was going to wake up and the city would fall. Like that's how serious things are. But he is I don't want to doubt his abilities in this certain situation, because he's making moves and doing sanctions and such, and he's committing troops to Europe and Germany and such. So he's doing what he can, but I'd feel a lot more confident if we had somebody younger as commander in chief, somebody more present and awake. No shade to Mr. Biden, especially if I have to, join the forces. Like, how much would I bet if I do join, they're gonna be like, please elaborate on this. Like, it's just, yeah, I won't be able to talk like this in the army, boy. Won't be able to. But, what at least gives me comfort in this situation and at the prospect. Of course, nuclear Armageddon doesn't give me any comfort, but what gives me at least calm, at least, is that this is a worthy adversary. It's not as morally ambiguous as, say, something like Iraq or Afghanistan. Of course, there are still like imperialist ambitions here. I'm not blind to that, and I don't support that at all. But I just to me, like, we have to defend our allies. Because what kind of message does that send? And I'm not saying the U.S. I'm not just saying, because this is not about the U.S. This is about the international rule of law. This is about the message that we send as a society and as a global civilization. Are we going to descend back into this stage of this, world order of just strong men? And again, I know it sounds hypocritical, because the U.S. does whatever the fuck it wants, and I don't support that either. I don't support that at all. So I'm not pretending as though the U.S. is innocent or the West and NATO is innocent in these circumstances. NATO expansion is real. NATO encirclement is real. However, Russia is not innocent at all. Like, they're not even half innocent. And I'm not saying the Russian people. I mean Putin, the oligarchs, the Russian mob, because that's really what it all is. It's all it is a true kleptocracy. We can talk about Nancy Pelosi and her insider trading and all these other establishment elites and the Clintons and Trump, and like that is all valid, especially now with all this Epstein information in the trial, and it's all of it is a circus. It's all, how much one is like, basically it's, you have different country clubs. So the Eastern Central powers, China, Russia, all these other, Iran, North Korea, all these other central powers, they are they have their own country club. And then the West, NATO, America, all the Anglo sphere, that they got their own country club, and now they're feuding. But of course, they're not going to do any of the fighting. They're going to send all the poor people. Both sides are going to do that. So it's the people who are really going to pay for this, and the rich are going to do just fine. Like, yeah, I bet defense contractors right now are just like, just cutting their dollars. They're just like, man, we're expected to rake in some cash. So I will say, this is going to be an interesting observation economically, because the thing about the world wars prior, economically for the U.S. Oh, those are just dogs. Okay, economically for the U.S. Is that the U.S. wasn't at its like industrial peak as it is today. Well, actually, you can make the case that our industrial capacity has gone on the slip side, but yeah, it just wasn't in its glory days. Even still, though, like, because we were still heavily industrialized, but not enough for a true imperialist global superpower. So, you definitely saw that in World War II, where it's just a complete total mobilization. All the resources are rationed for munitions and, like even nylon stockings and such like that, like cotton and such like that for parachutes. Like everything was rationed away for the war effort. And then at the end of all that, they we become the global superpower. Our country managed not to get totally obliterated, so naturally we're going to be on top. And we've just been maintaining that forever. That peak industrial global military industrial complex. World War II was the start of it, and we're certainly reaching its apex, you could say, or maybe it's going to kick into a new gear to a point that we've never seen. Because we've been fighting, we've been making weapons to fight, insurgencies, but now we're going to have to produce like whole amounts of like bullets and bombs and shells and aircraft to sustain the losses, because the air war is going to be unimaginable. Like, you think Ace Combat is a crazy game. It's just man, I'm just thinking about the economic mobilization and the manufacturing and the industrialization. Of course, now we have a far more automated system, but there's the mobilization, the economic mobilization, and then there's the rationing that's going to happen, and the prices and such, and who knows what's going to happen in a prolonged war, because Americans haven't lived with material, shortages to at the level that we're going to see. Like, I was just over at the gas station, the 7-Eleven on my corner, and it jumped 9 cents in the course of 24 hours, and it's going to get worse. Luckily, Texas is we're a heavy fuel, fossil fuel state, so we'll have relatively cheap prices. But man, I would not want to be in California right now, or somewhere where there's heavy taxes on the gas prices. Like, yeah, man, this is going to have huge consequences and ramifications. And I feel like not enough people fully understand it, or they're just like, whatever. Like, hey, this is serious, and you're gonna feel it, bro. Yeah, man. I'm just remembering the meme is just like, what's happening in Ukraine? Don't worry about it, babe. Okay, yay. Like, just that's what I bet a lot of people are feeling right now. It's just all of it is fucked up. But yeah, man, I'm just in this position, and I'm just like floating this idea, like, oh, I'm gonna join the military if we go to war. It's just like, shut the fuck up. It's just still, I need to get in shape. I need to start putting on that weighted vest, and start running hills. I need to really put my ass into gear, because this is it, bro. You wanna talk shit all you want. Like, this is not about America. I'm not fighting for America. I'm fighting for just international, like, just the rule of law. Putin is a bully. We can't have this. We can't have superpowers, nuclear superpowers, stomping around and basically doing what they want without consequence. And again, the U.S. is not justified at all with any of its extrajudicial military actions. I mean, they just bombed Somalia. So, like, I'm not blind to the U.S., the actions of the U.S. I'm not blind at all. It's just, this is a nuanced topic. This is a nuanced political issue. Wars, as much as we would like to pretend, especially in this day and age, our political climate and just the nature of warfare in this day and age is not black and white. There are various different shades of gray. And ultimately, we have to be cognizant of the plight of the Ukrainian people, because again, 44 million Ukrainians are not all Nazis. So yeah, and of course, Russia might talk about denazification, but that's not what they're talking about. They're not really serious about that. They want control. That's all it's about. All it is. Yeah, man. So very different circumstances. I think I'm at a point where I can just start wrapping up here, because I've been talking a lot, and of course this has been very unorganized, and I'm just putting everything out there because I got so much to say. But I do intend to record. When I record next time, I intend to be more organized and to have more stories laid out, and it will be more of a recap of what I've missed over the past year or so, or it will be more updates of the current situation in Kiev or in Ukraine. I don't intend to record for a couple of weeks. So after a couple of weeks, the country will probably be at least 80 to 90% occupied. Who knows? I'm hoping the best for the Ukrainian forces, but again, they're just going to be overwhelmed. But who knows what else is going to happen on the world stage, and hopefully it doesn't escalate to a nuclear conflict that quickly. Hopefully. So yeah. So anyway, best of luck to any Ukrainians who may be listening. Hope you're staying safe and keeping bright and keeping your heads up, because this is you guys are in an actual apocalypse. So I don't want to say fight to the end, because if you feel you need to surrender, then do that. But I'm also not going to fault you for making a last stand, because I would feel compelled to do the same if I was under an invasion like that. I would not want to be captured by Russian troops. So yeah. Anyway, best of luck, and hopefully, the world comes to its senses by the time I record next and release. And I'll be posting pretty heavily on my Twitter. I just want to at least put a disclaimer, because there might be moments where I might see something and post hastily, and then as I examine it further, realize, I should be more tactful with this. So yeah, I just want to put that out there at least, because it happens quite a bit. Yeah, but at the very same time, I'm just trying to follow this as best as I can, and offer what insight that my normie brain can chime in, because again, there's all kinds of military experts talking about this and examining this, and people have had all kinds of predictions, and yeah, but everything is pointing to this being the worst case scenario, especially for tonight and for the weekend. But yeah, this is a bit of a historical document. I'm just surprised that as I've been talking, there hasn't been any bombing. Watch the bomb. Once I hit stop record, it's going to start falling. But it's just all of it is just, this is a highly emotional and charged time and situation. But anyway, I just want to wrap up with that, and hopefully we'll wake up to better times. But it doesn't appear to be the case. It appears that we are in the opening stages of a new era, and the die has been cast, so to speak. Everybody's fate is now in the hands of the ruling elites, the imperial powers that be, that are, or whatever. This is a game. It really is. It's really just sports and games, because yeah, it's a dick measuring contest. That's all it is. So anyway, love you all, Peace on earth, and stay safe out there.
Горн проиграл сигнал, сопок уснувших чуткий покой, марш боевой взорвал, шквальный огонь встретил пехоты цепь, дыбом пред ней вставала земля, в небе рвалась шрапнель. Замолчал артист молодой, еле слышен марш боевой, и корнет умолк и волторно лишь играет трубач седой. Вверх и вперед, близок окопов ряд, гибель свинец навстречу несет, но нет нам пути назад. Рукопашный бой удалый разыгрался в море огня. Враг не забудет день схватки кровавой, русский наш штык кляня. Венский вальс оркестру полковому в парке городском не играть, и трубачу, и артисту молодому в сопках судьба лежать. Горечь утрат болью сжимает грудь, павших героев тени кружат, вальс навевает грусть. Спите, бойцы, вечная память вам, нерукотворный стал к небесам славы нетленный храм, и не крест на сопках стоит, не гранит покой ваш хранит, о боях и товарищах павших вальс маньчжурский в сердцах звучит.